Okay, so today I'm testing some new gear that I got. I have a shoot coming up soon, a short film, and I bought a bunch of stuff on Prime Day, lighting, and mostly just lighting. And what I'm trying to do is create this kind of morning look as if like having the first coffee of the day. I shot some tests with my friend Shay, who, if you've seen the other short films on this channel, you'll know who he is. I'll show some B-roll in between that, just because it's easier to settle this up while testing with someone else rather than myself. But for this, I wanted to see if I could recreate it, because the day that we shot it on was a sunny day, and we shot early evening. It was about 6:30 p.m. The sun, based on where my apartment is, was coming in right through that window, so it kind of all fit together. And I want to recreate it today because it's kind of rainy and gloomy, and it's not got the same intensity, and the light turned off. I don't know if it goes in standby mode or what, but yeah. Anyway, so I'm trying to recreate this morning look, closer to morning. It's now around 12:40 in the afternoon. So not the same type of day, not the same type of weather outside. And also, based on what I learned from that camera test, I wanted to try a couple of other things. So I bought a Amaran F22C, which is a 2x2 panel light, which is great. It has full RGB. It is very high quality. I used this light on another short film that I shot for someone recently, and I loved it. It was great for this kind of intimate dining scene where I placed the light right above them. I wish that I'd had some kind of lantern attachment for it then. So what I did was, when I bought it, I bought the lantern attachment that goes with it, so that I can create that soft above light that's almost like an intimate dining experience. And also it comes with little skirts that go around the edges, so you can really control the light spill. So you can have it just focused, soft light that's focused, or you can have it spilling to camera side or the other side or wherever you want. It just gives you a lot more flexibility, and I really like soft light from the lantern. So I got this light. Currently it's double diffused with the honeycomb on, but I'm doing it slightly differently. I'm putting the diffusion on, then the honeycomb, and then diffusion again. No specific reason, it's just I liked the way it looked more than the double diffusion, then the honeycomb. Just kind of helped roll off some of the light on my face and on Shay's face. Gave me a more pleasing look, in my opinion. And it's just about dialing it in. There's no right or wrong way to do that stuff. So I just found this was a more appealing shot to me, to create that kind of, as if, you know, this is the motivating light from the window, as if it's kind of wrapping around. It's softer. I'm not in direct light, so it's more like fake ambient. So again, there's no real ambient in this room. It's pretty dark right now, as you saw if the lights went off. It's pretty dark in this room because it's not a sunny day. I've closed all the blinds over here. They're just Venetian blinds. They don't really block a lot of light, but they do enough. Same with these here, just mostly to match what we saw in the shot with Shay and also control the light a little bit better. I have a Godox VL150 on battery power, and I also picked up the Amaran Spotlight mount. It's rated up to 300 watt lights, so you can't use it on a 600D, but you can use it on a 300D or anything below. I guess it's just because of the heat, it might melt or cause problems. Yeah, so be mindful of that. But for my lights, I have nothing that goes above 200 watts. This is the F22C is the highest powered light that I have right now. But I really like these Godox VL50. I got these instead of the bigger lights because they can run off just one V-mount battery, where the others, they either require two to get full power, or you can only go to 50%. So if you can only go to 50% on that power, then you actually end up with less power than just a 150 and so on. I've used this on short films before. I used it on a film I did a few years ago to light some trees. I shot at night on a balcony, and then there's some trees behind it, and it just looked really dark and flat. So what I did was put them on the ground, put them at like 4% power, and just gave a little bit of uplighting on those trees, and it really just brought out some texture. It really looks nice. I'll show some screen grabs of that. And the difference you can tell between when I didn't have a lot of lights at that time, so I was very limited, but you can see the difference between having it and not having it. The whole point of buying these lights now was not that I think that they will make me a better cinematographer and make my videos better, but it will make achieving the looks that I want to get much, much easier. I can run these lights off V-mounts instead of needing to plug them in. It's a panel light, it's really light. I can hang it in a place where otherwise I would need a big boom pole or I need a lot of light, of like cheaper lights to kind of do the same effect. So it's more about getting stuff that makes your life easier. It's never going to make you better at using those tools. So I have the spotlight mount on this, and I've put a little gobo inside, or I think it's called a cucoloris or cookie, depending on where you're from and what you call it. And I've put a little like tree branch one in that you can see kind of on the window here, because outside of my window, I don't know if you can see, but there's like probably not. There's like trees just outside of here. So it's giving that idea of the light, the sunlight is coming in, crossing through the trees and projecting onto the wall behind. And then it has these little cutters on it that give it this kind of sharper top. So as if like it's coming in and being cut off by the blinds. Obviously it doesn't make sense because the blind is kind of, it's hard to like point. The blind is kind of like semi see-through, and it just completely cuts off. So, you know, we're kind of playing with a little bit of verisimilitude with that, of trying to make it feel believable, even though it's not necessarily accurate to real life, and just kind of cutting that in. The difference that I've gone with here versus the one with Shay is I've reduced the power of the light a little bit more. I found it was a little too hot for the one that Shay, because if you can see out the window, it's like you can see how much light level and brightness is coming through, and then the spotlight behind him is a lot brighter. I'm looking at my phone because I just have it here, so I'm looking at it for reference to try and get the framing and everything same. I also found that the focus of the spotlight was a little too sharp, so that the tree pattern was a little bit too cut out, and I wanted to soften it, so I've made it a little bit softer this time, so you can see it over here. I just find that it just kind of breaks up the light level. That's all I'm doing it for. It's just breaking up the light so it's not a solid white square or a light square. It just gives it a little bit of texture and makes it a little bit more interesting. But this is really good because you have these cutters. So if I pull these, it's weird because it's like upside down, because it's like an inverted image. But I can cut these however I need. So if I wanted the blind to be higher, if I wanted it as if the light was coming in from below, I could have that cut off be a lot higher. Or if it was supposed to be like a higher sun, obviously tilt it down, bring that in. And then the cookie, or the cucoloris you have here, you can kind of move it around. And then it has this little knob here that lets you change the focus. So I can make it really sharp, so you get more detail. And again, you can kind of maybe see some of the fall off because it is obviously not square onto the wall. So that part of the wall is further away from this part of the wall. So you just get some of that fall off, and you can always cut that in, like so, if you need to. And these will rotate a little bit to let you shape it the way that you need to. And then, yeah, I can like make it really, really soft. I'll make it really, really sharp. I'll go the other way. So yeah, I really like this mount. I think there's a lot of utility that comes with it. And it also comes with a bunch of these other shapes. So you have one of the ones we did as well, if I just take this out. So now, if I have this, I can put a Venetian blind in. So you see, like, I have Venetian blinds, or that style. I can put these in. And so if I, you know, had like wanted to motivate it, because this is just like a pull down blind because of the laws where I am. You can't put these in anymore. But if you have an apartment that has this, but you want to control that light, you can do that, right? So you could have a character that stood in front of the light, casting that Venetian blind look onto their face, and it's motivated by context because the apartment has these kind of lights. And if you want it to be sharp, you can. If you want it to be out of focus, you can. You can do a lot with it. And then, yeah, you can really kind of open it up to the heights and then cut it. And you have like, yeah, it just looks really nice. And it adds a lot of texture to your image. I also got these Rode Wireless Pro mics, which aside from being wireless mics, have recorders built into them. So I'm recording it straight to this. That's why it's been clipped here. I did it for the beginning. This is the first time I've truly got to test them. I did it on another shot, on a short. We just put it into a boom mic and they never really used it. So hopefully this sounds good and it's not clipping. It's 32-bit float, which means that you can get really, really loud, really, really quiet. And you can bring it down without clipping the audio, and you can bring it up without it getting really noisy like you would get in others, and the noise floor is really good. So hopefully this sounds good. If that is the case, then I'm gonna see if I can just keep using these and not worry about setting up a big boom or shotgun mic or anything, because yeah, I might use lavs for it. They come with lavs too. They come with a charging case. It's a pretty nice setup for the price. Comes with 2 of these, the receiver, 2 lavs, and yeah, internal recording. So not bad. And then yeah, this light is supposed to be motivated, and this is what wraps around here. And then what I've done, which I don't think it's doing too much just because of its size, but I have a reflector dish, so one of those 5-in-1 reflector dishes right here, and I just have the black side here so that it is creating a little bit of negative fill. I know that it does do something because I tested it with shade as well, and I think it did help a little bit just to give it a little bit of shape, but it's not going to completely cut out a giant space that's balancing some light, right? So that's the kind of setup that I have for this. And I think it looks pretty good. I think it looks, you know, the temperature is a little bit cooler here versus what I had with shade, but you can always dial it in post. I obviously want to get it as close as I can in camera, so there's less work done in post. I'm just gonna smack my watch on the thing here, because you just want to have control of that, and the more you have to tweak in post, it's just kind of like you don't know, because if you're not the one that's going to be color grading it as well, you're handing off to someone else. They don't necessarily know the intention of what you're going for. Maybe there's some context clues, and maybe you can relay that information. But if you can make it really obvious and give the look of what you're going for in camera, that makes their life a little bit easier, and it makes the final result look closer to what you're going for. So I think this looks pretty good. I think recreating this was relatively straightforward, relatively easy in the sense of how to set it up. It's just 2 lights and a reflector dish using the black side so that I'm getting a little bit of contrast and negative fill. That's kind of it, using the spotlight mount and getting the cupolas. Again, like I said, you can do this look without having these attachments and these lights. You could absolutely do this look without the Amaran F22C. You could use a Godox, is it the SL60DB? I have those lights. I have 2 of them. They were the first lights that I ever used. You can achieve this look 1000% with that just by taking some like unbleached muslin or some diffusion or a shower curtain or some shears and just kind of bouncing the light either from them or projecting the light through them to create that soft look. These 5-in-1 reflectors are very, very cheap. They fold down really small. Highly recommend using them because they just fit into a backpack, and there's no reason that you shouldn't have something like that. The VL150 is on like 20% power, so you don't need a super powerful light to get a look like this. The spotlight mount makes it easier to get it to cut into shape as I have here, but you could just as easily use flags, right? You could put 2 light stands, put some black fabric up, and just shape it the way you need to so the light is just coming through that way. And then with the Cucoloris, you just have something that adds texture and you put it in front of the light. That's it. You know, it's not that it makes you better by having these tools. It makes achieving the look easier. It's just a simple setup. That's it. It's 2 lights and a bounce. I don't think it's out of the realm of being able to create something that looks nice, somewhat believable, and easy to set up and easy to take apart. That's the other thing, because remember, at the end of a shoot, you're going to have to take all this down and take it apart as well. So I am all about min-maxing, even though I have way more gear than I ever need. But I'm about min-maxing when it comes to my lighting, keeping it a little bit more natural, keeping it all in a way that it can be ran as a one-man band, but can scale to having other people. If you have a gaffer or a grip that can help you set it up, it will make it faster, but it is doable as a single operator. In terms of all this, I always aim to light spaces, not faces. So using this as a kind of guide, this is probably the most lighting a face that I'm getting, but I'm using this to kind of create that shape and create that depth. The only other difference that I've not touched on here is I have a little portable fogger by Ulanzi. I saw there was a pretty okay deal that was on it. I used this. This was great. It packs into this little small kit. It won't fill a giant room, but it filled this space pretty damn well. And I just used this to kind of spread it around, and that was just to help give a little bit of like help read the spotlight light a little bit easier and pull it out and create a little bit of atmosphere as if it was like morning. Again, didn't do it here just because I don't think I needed to for this specific thing, and I have B-roll of that, so I'll show that. But yeah, you can just do that. This was not crazy expensive. This will add some very nice production value to it, especially if you're doing one of these shots where you do have light streaks coming in. You'll be able to see it, and it just adds a little bit more atmosphere and depth to your image. So yeah, if anyone wants to see me do a mini review on this, let me know. But I'll leave it here. That's kind of it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.